at the weekend I was going to run the Kraton EXB, and I ran into a little bit of a problem. It didn't start, well, it didn't work. So when I powered up the ESC, I didn't get the classic and the sounds and everything it's supposed to do, because it's a Castle ESC. It wouldn't start up. I disconnected the motor and tried it that way, still nothing. But then without the motor it doesn't do the sounds, but it did light up and do everything it was supposed to, but no sounds. With the motor on, no sounds. When I tried to throttle, it was as though one of the wires of the motor was disconnected. So I shut it off, put it away. I've now gotten a little chance to do some investigation. I've gone through and done all my wiring checks, checked there were no breaks, no damage, nothing caused by anything else. First off, obviously checking, because I'm running this adapter that I made with 6.5 mils that go into the ESC. From the original ESC, I cut off these wires, and then obviously I've soldered those connectors on with the other ESC fried, and that was the ESC motor from my Notorious. And since the ESC fried, I put my Castle setup in there, but then I took the motor out and put it in my EXB. Since I got rid of I swapped my 1650 kV motor, wasn't going to put the big one in it that I swapped it for, so I thought I'd chuck this 2050 BLX motor in. That's what was in there. I'd run it for a little bit. It was giving me some issues, but this was the motor with the combo that ridiculously overheated on that really hot day, and I cooked the ESC. The motor seemed to be okay, but it seems that it also got damaged, because running this for a bit, I did do some test running, it did run, but that weekend I ran it for a bit, it stopped. And doing the checks, ESC confirmed it's still functioning, everything else working, because I used spare test motor that I had just to plug in, powers up, works perfectly fine. And I'll confirm that by just quickly powering on my, power that on, power this on, wherever the button is, there it is. It's only a 4-cell on there at the minute for test purposes, but that's the chimes I should have been hearing, and I wasn't hearing them. Without the motor plugged in, this is what it sounds like, nothing. But you can see the sequence of light flashes, which means it's doing what it's supposed to. So that says that that was working, which is why I had to confirm and test by putting a motor on, and it does work perfectly fine. But I initially tested the motor and suspected it was the motor, because I did a resistance check for the coils. Now in these motors, they have basically this connecting going all the way around, connects to a point, then it technically connects to that and to that. So each one is actually connected to each other through the series of wires. So if I put a probe on one cable and the other end of the probe, which is the negative one, doesn't matter which, I use resistance, which in this one, lowest resistance possible, or if you have a continuity tester. I only have my cheapy one in the garage, so that will do. That's ohms resistance there, up to 200 this will do. And we should get, when our coil wire connects, it is basically like a wire touching itself, so that should give you around that, which is, this meter's reading about 0.6. It should be technically a dead short. That's the cable and wiring and meter. So that we can see is what I should be seeing roughly when I probe these two. So the long and short of it, as we can see, if I go to the outside two wires, we've got continuity there, what it's called, which means that we've got connection there. But what was happening is the one that here, I have continuity, but I wasn't getting continuity. The reason being is when I took the can apart, that you can see a bit of solder, desoldered itself from the connection. There's actually supposed to be a connection in there, so if I zoom in, change the camera, we can see there's some solder residual, and I've removed some of the bits of solder balls that were in there. See that charring going on. So that's going to potentially be, there's a little bit of blob of solder in there. So that is what was disconnected. And if I show closely with my tweezers here, you can see there is, do it in the light, there are two wires. There's the upper one, Let's get the big zoom on it. There we go. And as you can see in there, there's the upper bunch of wires which goes all the way around to there. But then we also have some going down into there and around, so that's where all three link. And it's the solder that's come off, and you can just about see there's like a little gap there. It's two wires separated. Right now I've pushed them together to touch to give me the continuity to confirm my theory. So right now I'm just going to resolder those, put the heat shrink on it. Okay, I think I've got it. So I use my blowtorch to heat it up, and then I applied lots of solder to it, and I retouched it up because the solder flowed down to the bottom, as you can see there. And then the top started lifting, so I give it some little touch ups. But on the end point right there is where I've locked all of it, so around the sides is not really as important because the coating's on this side. So that orange stuff is a coating. Right on the end is where it's actually been removed for solder. That's where I've blobbed the hell out of it. It's now not touching on the metal can, so I should be able to put some heat shrink on it. And as long as I can push it down far enough into there, then the endo will fit. So now I should have continuity on all of them. Okay, motor repair complete. Continuity checked. Now I've just got to put it in the car, put the end bell on, put it in the car, and give it a quick test. Right, moment of truth. Controller's on. And let's power it on. Do we get beepy beepy? Yay! It works. Now will it accelerate without blowing up? Yep, working. So that's a fix until it overheats and blows up again. Oh well. After I took all this apart, took it all apart to investigate, which included taking all the wires out, because I was thinking I'll just replace it if it doesn't work. Should have gone with my first theory, but oh well. Confirmed everything else. Lovely McJubblies, and it's on Velcro, so I can just stick it back down. Right, put it back together. Happy days, it's alive again.